big mistake. And God does seem to have a sense of humor. Because it's not a coincidence the way things work out. I said to my wife, I can do whatever I want, when I want to do it. And that's just it. So I got a phone call to go to church and do one service. And okay, well, this Sunday we'll do that. But after this, we're going to do what we want to do. And then next thing you know, I was called to fill in here, and here I am. Well, so much for trying to do what you want to do. It took the Lord a little time for me to sink into my thick head, but there is no retirement from the Christian faith. As long as you are a Christian, as long as you are alive, you should be under the Lordship of Jesus Christ. And yes, we own a house. Although someone said, remember now it's the Lord's house. Well, I think the bank owns it and the tax people own it. But in any event, it is my house. I have the privilege of paying for it. But it doesn't belong to me. Everything I have, as the scriptures say, every good and perfect thing comes from above. And I believe that. Well, what is this really about? Is this parable about how to manage money? Well, in a way it is. But really it is how to use what you have for the glory of God. I remember years ago when we were still in the Kansas City area, and our preacher was Reverend Miller at the time. And I went to him because I was really struggling with a lot of things in my life. And so basically I talked to him about the situation. And he said to me, it seems to me like you really know what to do, you just aren't willing to do it. And I go, well, you got a point there. But he said, you are still holding on to the things of the world. And then he said, you can't serve God and man or money. And I said, but couldn't I have a little bit of time? He said, it's either all of God or nothing. It wasn't what I wanted to hear. But I thought about that, and I struggled with that. All things belong to God. Satan has a way of taking the love of money, and I read something in a little pamphlet the other day. It said this, and I'll quote it. Not my words, someone else's. Satan is using the love of money to establish his rule and authority in the hearts of all humanity. And God is using the kingdom truth of stewardship to instill his rule and authority in the hearts of people. Somehow we are tempted and lured into things that look so appealing. But if we're not careful, we can really get wrapped up in possessions. Have you ever owned something that it really became really important in your life? I remember the first new car, a Ford 1969 Mustang, canary yellow, had the stripes, the racing hood, it had everything. It was a nice car. Cost a bundle $2,900. It was a lot of money back then. $104 a month, $104.52 a month as a military then. I love that car. I mean, I don't care how much I love that car. I washed every time it got anything on, I wiped it off. I kept cleaner in my car to spray off. If anybody got in the car, I made them stomp their feet before they got in. Dirt on my car. I did everything to that car. My wife remembers that car. I love that automobile. When I finally jumped it, many miles later, $600 I got for it. Somehow it wasn't quite the same car. But for a long time, I could think of that car. I'd stare out the window and look at it. That's how important that car was. And when I went to park somewhere, you didn't want to ride with me because you might as well get a shuttle bus. I parked so far away at the parking lot, I would pull in, somebody pull up alongside me. Plus, I didn't want to park next to anything that was old looking. Because it was a junk car, they'll slam the door. They don't care. You can't hurt their car. So I always park next to new cars. The most expensive I could find. And I would watch and take a look. And one time I was going to a shopping mall in Metcalf South where we lived, and I parked the car, and instead I heard a smash. I went, oh no, it sounds close. I turned around and went, oh, good, he hit that Chevy. It wasn't my car. And I thought, but it was so important to me. That's what mattered. I thought about that car. It's only a car. Funny how we can think about things. Or we get possessive about our bank accounts or all the things that we own. The Bible tells us in the last days, It says, quote, men shall be lovers of money. What do you really love? Jesus said, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven. My question this morning is, are you thinking earthly or heavenly? The last 24 hours, what have you thought about? Earthly pursuits or heavenly pursuits? What is your life about? Acquiring wealth or adding to the kingdom of God? My second point in stewardship is this. Stewardship will enable us to retain in our minds, to keep our mind on the real purpose of the church. I was at a seminar, I don't know, quite a few years ago, on church growth, and the speaker said these words, do you folks know what the real purpose of the church is? Well, a bunch of clergy sitting there, what do you mean we don't know what the purpose of church is? But what is really the purpose of church? Is it buildings? Is the church a building? Many times we'll say, that's our church. And I say, where do you go to church? You'll think of the building. Is this building our church? No, it is not. Ecclesia, meaning we're called out. The church are the people. I don't know too many people go around and say, I'm going to find a church. I already tell the minister, I'm going to check out your church. We see what your carpet looks like. I'm going to check out the thickness of your pews. Better check the bathrooms out, the parking facilities.